Thank you, Fiona. Hello and good evening to you. Coming up on the programme. From hope to discontent, a big rise in the number of complaints to the housing watchdog over shared ownership.
Once you add together the mortgage, the rent and the service charges, it means that it's unaffordable for me to kind of buy more of the flat. But it also means that it puts people off who are interested in potentially buying it because the service charges have increased exponentially.
We have a special report also tonight. A new documentary highlights the long chain of events that led to the Grenfell tragedy. Plus, the South London children hoping to save their lollipop school crossings.
And I'm here in this stunning organic lavender farm in Banstead in Surrey, where the dry spring has caused these flowers to bloom early. Well, there's some even hotter weather on its way. I'll have all the details, including a full weather forecast.
A very warm welcome to the programme. First tonight, a dream that became a nightmare. That's how one Londoner describes her experience of shared ownership. And we found she's not alone. Basically, the government-backed scheme was designed as a more affordable way of helping people get on the housing ladder by buying a share of a property and paying rent on the rest. However, BBC London has discovered the number of complaints to the housing watchdog over shared ownership has soared in the last 5 years. Why? Here's our work and money correspondent, Megan Owen, with the story.
They lure you in, making you think there is something that you can afford, but actually once you're there, you're trapped.
Diana and Chris have come full circle, settling back to life in a private rental after completing a sale of a shared ownership property that they were desperate to leave. The couple bought 25% of a flat in East London 5 years ago, their only way of getting on the property ladder.
We knew we were never going to be able to afford buying on the private market in London, so we thought this was our way to ensure that we would have somewhere to live in our old age, but it wasn't.
After deciding they didn't click with the area, they put the house on the market. It took 2 years to sell in a process that cost them over £10,000.
The service charges kept going up, and if the flat was out of warranty, so if we had a problem, we were responsible to repair it. So we had basically all the obligations of a house owner, but none of the rights of a tenant.
There are currently around 250,000 shared ownership households in England. The government-backed scheme means those who can't afford a property outright can buy a share and pay rent on the rest. We've discovered that shared ownership complaints to the housing watchdog rose by almost 400% in the last 5 years. Figures show they continue to rise at a faster rate than other types of properties.
Often, what we're seeing in some of the cases that we investigate is a real mismatch of expectation and understanding between the shared owner and the landlord.
The Housing Ombudsman says the government should address what he calls inherent complexities in the scheme.
I think it's really important to step back and look at what are, I think, some fundamental inequities in the way in which shared ownership is designed and think, well, is this what we want or do we need to do it slightly differently?
What started as a dream has for many become an absolute nightmare. I've spoken to dozens of shared owners who say they feel trapped by the scheme, unable to sell and unable to buy more shares.
Like Kathy, who bought a 40% share of her flat in North London 8 years ago.
I don't have the bank of mum and dad, for one, so it was the only option, really. There's been a lot of mega downsides, particularly regarding finances and transparency and the level of service that we receive from our housing provider.
Since she bought her share, Kathy's costs have risen so much that she's been forced to get a lodger.
Once you add together the mortgage, the rent and the service charges, it means that it's unaffordable for me to kind of buy more of the flat. But it also means that it puts people off who are interested in potentially buying it because the service charges have increased exponentially.
Single mother Fatima bought into the scheme after being evicted from 2 rental properties with her children. She says it's impossible to get anything fixed in the building.
Repairs have been an issue for a long time because the problem is that there are multiple companies involved. So there's a freeholder who's appointed a managing agent, and then there's the housing association. So between them, they haven't had a good relationship.
The day we filmed, the corridors were heated to 31 degrees and the lift was broken.
It's an in-between option, which could work if there weren't so many companies involved who were kind of taking a cut and making profit.
The Shared Ownership Council, which has developed a code to regulate the sector, says whilst the scheme has a key role to play in addressing housing needs, it's not always worked as well as it should for everyone. They add, "We take the concerns raised by the Housing Ombudsman and shared owners very seriously." The government says they are aware of the challenges faced by some who have entered the scheme and are considering what more can be done to improve the experience of shared owners alongside plans to make service charges more transparent. Amid a deepening housing crisis, shared ownership is meant to get more people on the property ladder. But for some, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
And Megan joins me now. So we've heard some personal stories there. Give us a sense of the bigger picture.
Well, it is important to say that whilst a few said that the scheme was working for them, the majority of people have told me similar stories to the ones we just heard in that report. Now, complaints to the housing watchdog have risen from 324 in 2020 to 1,500 in just 5 years. Now, the watchdog actually told me that was a conservative figure based on the levels of dissatisfaction that they're seeing. And for context, the shared ownership complaints are rising at a much higher rate than these properties are being developed, but also at a much higher rate than other types of housing, including wider social housing, for example. And most importantly, almost a half of those complaints were based in London, 44% in fact. Why is this? Well, we know that a lot of flats are springing up in the capital because of high property prices, and traditional home ownership is really difficult for many first-time buyers in the capital.
So where does it go from here?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, these problems have been on the government's and the sector's radar for quite some time. The Housing Watchdog actually flagged a lot of these issues in a damning report last year. The code that we talked about in that report is meant to help regulate the sector. The government says it's looking into different options to improve the situation. But of course, a lot of shared owners will be hoping that this happens as a matter of urgency.
Yeah, indeed. Megan, for now, thank you. That's our work and money correspondent, Megan Owen. And this is something that certainly got people talking. As Megan said, many of you have already been in touch about housing issues like this. If you'd like to share your experience, please do. Just scan the QR code on the screen there and send us a message. Or alternatively, you can email us at the address hello@bbclondon@bbc.co.uk. Great to have you with us this Monday evening. Plenty more to come, including the UK's largest road tunnel, the Lower Thames crossing, joining Essex and Kent, gets more than £500 million from the government. And how the dry spring weather has brought out the lavender early in some areas. Now, this weekend marked the 8th anniversary of the Grenfell tragedy, which claimed the lives of 72 people. This week, a new Netflix documentary is released highlighting the long chain of events that led to the fire and includes previously unseen emails. The London filmmaker hopes it'll help push for accountability and accelerate real change. This report, I should say, from Aisha Baksh, does contain some flashing images.
Still hurting. Still waiting. For many in West London, Grenfell was a very personal yet public tragedy.
Justice delayed is justice denied. I want to go to court and see the perpetrators in the dock.
72 people died as a result of the fire at Grenfell Tower. 8 years on, families and survivors led an anniversary silent walk around the streets of North Kensington with dignity and defiance. And local firefighters, some of whom were there on the night, formed a guard of honour.
There is no prosecution, no justice, nothing. So angry, very frustrated, very sad.
No individuals nor organisation have yet been prosecuted over what happened, And this community is still waiting for answers.
We don't know why there's no one who's been put behind bars. We don't know why that cladding was even signed off of in the first place. We don't know why these 72 lives are still unjustified, how they're still not even accounted for.
Well, people are still coming here to lay flowers and pay their respects to the victims of the fire. And there is now fresh global attention on the companies and organisations involved in the cladding and refurbishment of Grenfell Tower. A new documentary will this week be released on Netflix, the American streaming service with a global audience.
Fire brigade.
Yeah, hello, hi, in the fire in Grenfell. Quick.
They're on their way already.
The documentary also examines the role of the British government and uncovers new evidence regarding the American company Arconic, who manufactured the cladding. Housing journalist Peter Apps worked with the research team.
Netflix has 60 million subscribers, right? And something that's really important if you're talking about justice and change is public awareness, I think. And there's a lot of people who know what happened at Grenfell and why, but there's many more that don't. And hopefully this and other bits of media that help raise awareness will change that, because people need to care and people need to feel angry.
The film's director grew up in South London and knew one of the Grenfell victims. She believes the Grenfell story has a universal message.
It just looked, like somewhere I grew up, and it felt very personal, it felt very familiar. When we started making this, the Valencia fire happened, which unfortunately was a fatal cladding fire, and we also had Dagenham as well in August last year. So the cladding fires are a global story. The Grenfell Tower story is a global story.
And families who took part hope it will make a difference.
I think it will help the community to understand exactly what happened.
We hope that it will go out, that it will make people realise how much corruption there was. It's going to open a lot of people's minds. It's a very good documentary.
The Met Police investigation into what happened is still ongoing. Meanwhile, families waiting for justice may soon have more international support. Aisha Baksh, BBC London.
As we've been hearing this news hour, the situation in the Middle East has been escalating in recent days between Israel and Iran. The Foreign Office has advised Britons against all travel to Israel, warning of a fast-moving situation that poses significant risks. It is, of course, a worrying time for Londoners either caught up in the military action or those with family in the region. Victoria Hollins joins me as you have been speaking to some of those affected, Vic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Israel and Iran, as you say, continue to fire missiles at each other after Israel launched the strikes on Iran's nuclear and military capabilities, beginning, of course, on Friday. Now, it has been a rapidly changing situation there, and that impacts Londoners and their families too. Now, overnight, Iranian missiles again penetrated Israel's Iron Dome defence system, and we know that the number killed in Israel since Friday has risen to 24. Now, Israel's airspace is closed. It's going to stay that way until at least Monday. Land routes out of the country are closed as well. I've just spoken to a Londoner, Zach Margolin. He's a comedian. He's quite a well-known TikToker as well. He's due to arrive back in this country for his sister's wedding on Sunday, but he doesn't think that now probably will happen. He's been to Tel Aviv a lot of times. He has experiences of being in bomb shelters, but he was in a shelter in Tel Aviv when a bomb hit close to the apartment he was in. This is what he told me.
You can hear the Iron Dome intercepting the missiles, and you hear like distant booms. And then we had this massive boom, and the building was shaking, and the lights went off, and the alarm started going off in the building, like it was reverberating. And I was convinced that we were hit. If there was a way to bring a plane to get Brits safely back to the UK, I'd be on it.
Now, that's not happening at the moment, but British nationals in Israel, like Zach, have been told to register their presence through a portal from the Foreign Office. They want to build up a clearer picture of who is in the region and who might need assistance.
And there are also Londoners concerned about the welfare of family members in Iran.
That's right. And today we know that Israel's military has warned people in parts of Tehran to evacuate in an area called District 3. About 330,000 people live there. Now, Iran's health ministry say around Around 224 people have been killed by Israeli strikes since Friday so far. Now, we've also spoken to Hala, who works in central London, lives here. She's got relatives in Iran and says some of them have managed to get out of Tehran, but many haven't.
The Area 3 was when where it was ordered to be evacuated. That's actually where I was used to go to school when I was younger. There are some that haven't made it out of the city. They're not able to get out. There's multiple problems such as shortage of petrol and limitations set by the government, and also the blockages of certain roads and heavy traffic getting out of Tehran.
Well, in a statement, the Foreign Office told us the situation has the potential to deteriorate further, quickly and without warning. They say it's a fast-moving situation and we're keeping all plans under constant review. We urge British nationals in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories to follow our travel advice for the latest updates. And just to finally say, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has said that Israel and Iran would be the #1 issue at the G7, which starts in Canada this evening.
OK, Vic, with the latest there. Thank you, Victoria Hollins. Let me bring you some of the day's other news stories. A nursery worker has been convicted of abusing 21 babies, including kicking one little boy in the face and stepping on his shoulder. Roxana Lecker from Hounslow admitted 7 counts of cruelty and was found guilty of another 14 offences by a jury at Kingston Crown Court. She'll be sentenced in September. A bus mounted the pavement in Parliament Square during this morning's rush hour and the driver was taken to hospital. No passengers were injured and an investigation is underway into what happened. Around 1,800 more vehicles a day are using the Woolwich Ferry. Transport for London suggests it's because fewer vehicles are crossing the Thames via the Blackwall and Silvertown tunnels due to the tolls introduced in April. The UK's largest road tunnel, due to be built between Kent and Essex, has been granted nearly £600 million by the government. But the Lower Thames crossing is more likely to cost £10 billion, so it'll need private finance to become a reality. And it's facing huge opposition from environmental campaigners. Ministers say it's vital to grow the economy. Here's Simon Jones.
Designated a national priority by the government, this is the vision for the new Lower Thames crossing that would link Gravesend in Kent and Tilbury in Essex.
Those plans for a Lower Thames crossing have been gummed up for so many years due to planning problems and other issues. So it's really important that we get that project going. We know how important that is to solve those congestion problems, but also, frankly, our wider mission of driving economic growth across the country.
The aim is to ease pressure at the existing Dartford crossing. It was designed to handle 135,000 vehicles a day, but the busiest days see up to 180,000 vehicles using it. Well, it's another busy day here at the crossing, and the government believes that too much traffic is spending too long in queues around Dartford, and that is affecting the economy nationally. And many motorists are fed up of delays and disruption at Dartford.
Always congested, always. It's shocking.
We need another bridge. We need something to stop the traffic the way it is now, because it is chaos every single day.
It can take you half an hour to get across, whereas they took the tolls away to make it faster.
Do you think they need a new crossing?
They need something. I wouldn't like to say what, but they need something. It needs to be sorted out.
The Lower Thames crossing would be made up of more than 14 miles of new road. The government has today announced £590 million in funding, but the entire project is likely to cost £10 billion. Money will have to come from private investors who are expected to claw back the cash long term from the tolls people will have to pay to use the crossing.
What we need to see is understand exactly what the stepping stones are going to be. So this 590 million is a really good start, but we want to get clarity over when we will see the rest of the finance.
But environmental campaigners say the cost will be too high.
You will see a massive loss of ancient woodlands. That is woodland that's over 400 years old, so you can't just replant it. It will blight people's lives. It will destroy whole habitats. for no gain.
National Highways claims the crossing will be Britain's greenest road with 1 million trees planted. But like at Dartford, there have already been numerous delays before a spade has even been put in the ground.
And we can join Simon in Dartford now. National Highways saying they believe the new link will reduce traffic at that crossing by 20%, Simon.
Well, that figure is certainly disputed by those who are against the idea of a new crossing. What we can say for certain is this evening it's another very busy night here at Dartford, and to get here this lunchtime we were stuck in traffic for quite a while. The process will now begin of trying to talk to potential investors to gain confidence in this project, and any new toll charge at a new crossing would have to match the toll charge here at Dartford. Now, a government minister was sent out earlier today to do media interviews to talk up the project, but she repeatedly said that this crossing was at Dartmouth, which is actually in Devon. That's not going to inspire confidence in a project that has been beset by problems in the past and is now going to need some big cash backers.
OK, Simon, thank you. Next, to the last few remaining lollipop school crossing patrols in South London and a campaign by parents and children to save them. Croydon Council plans to stop the crossing services during school drop-off and pick-up hours at the end of the year. Harry Lowe has the story.
They've been helping school children cross London's roads for years. But the last 6 lollipop patrols in Croydon could soon come to a stop due to council cuts.
Councils are not legally obliged to provide lollipop staff, but council tax in Croydon has gone up more than 26% in the last 3 years, and the idea of cutting this service has left parents worried.
This is a very busy road, and he's just here every morning, keeps the kids safe. The cars come down here far too fast, and it just is peace of mind for all of us.
No traffic lights, there's no zebra crossing at this part, so you have to take the risk to cross.
I think there could be a lot more accidents. I think there could be a lot more road rage of, drivers trying to get to where they're going.
Obviously, Croydon's got itself into lots of debt. That's not our fault. That's their mismanagement. The biggest killer of children in the country is road accidents, so that is not where you start cutting in order to pay off your debt.
Claire Bonham is the local councillor behind a campaign to keep the patrols.
We're really concerned that the council are going to cut the service and are going to be putting saving money over the safety of our children. My number one fear is that there are more accidents at this junction and more children's lives are put in danger a little bit, because we do have accidents on this road and we don't want to be contributing to that stuff.
Croydon Council told us most patrols were phased out many years ago and risk assessments have been completed for the 6 remaining sites, with 1 now earmarked for a permanent crossing and 3 located on healthy school streets. With the end of term approaching, the fate of these familiar faces is far from safe. Harry Lowe, BBC London.
OK, let's relax the mood now, surrounded by lovely lavender. We've reported how we've experienced one of our driest springs, and it's meant lavender in some areas is flowering early. We can imagine the scent, but someone who doesn't have to imagine is Corsa, because she's out in the sunshine at an organic lavender farm in Surrey. Hi there.
Hi, Riz. Well, you can definitely smell the lavender. It's stunning, isn't it? You can see all the flowers around me in these fields. Organic lavender. Now, this farm has been here in Banstead in Surrey for nearly 19 years. And I'm joined now by the owner of the farm, Lorna May of Mayfield Lavender Farm. Well, you must have seen all sorts of weather over 19 years.
We certainly have, and I'm really delighted that we're going to have a really hot summer, because after the last couple of years when we've had so much rain, it's great to see that we're going to have some sunshine.
Yes, well, certainly for the next couple of days it's going to be warm, but it's been a very dry spring as well, hasn't it? What impact has that had on the farm and the upkeep?
Well, essentially, it has been like Provence here, you know, with some hot, dry, sunny conditions. The lavender's really come on a lot quicker than we would normally expect it to. So this is the middle of June, and generally our flowers are just starting, the buds are starting to come, they're starting to go a little bit purple, but now they're in not quite full flower, but they are very close to being. So yeah, the hot weather's really accelerated the growth.
Absolutely. And of course, we've got some very hot weather on its way. What impact will that have? I mean...
Well, I hope it means that we'll be selling lots of lavender ice cream, lots of lavender lemonade, and that people will come out and really enjoy the lavender, because, you know, why don't you want to come out in a beautiful lavender farm and enjoy the great outdoors?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, most summers, you know, we have to take it a brolly, but hopefully...
No, looking forward to that. Well, I'm definitely going to try some of that ice cream after this, for sure. But let's talk about the weather then. Yes, indeed. It is very warm and becoming even warmer over the next few days. Plenty of sunshine in store as well. Now, for the rest of this week, it will be dry out there. There will be plenty in the way of that sunshine, and temperatures going to continue to rise, especially by Friday and into the weekend. Now, for the rest of this evening then, well, it's going to stay fine and dry. Late spells of sunshine out there, not hardly a cloud in the sky for many, and clear skies overnight as well. And temperatures overnight are going to hold up in double figures. So we're looking at lows of around 10 to 14 Celsius. So it means for tomorrow morning, a dry, bright start. And once again, there will be plenty in the way of sunshine around, just a bit of fair weather cloud bubbling up. But for this time of year as well, high UV level with this sunshine, and also very high pollen levels. Grass pollen is very high at the moment. And temperatures by tomorrow afternoon quite widely, reaching the mid to high 20s, maybe up to 27, possibly 28 Celsius, certainly becoming very warm. The average for this time of year is 20 degrees. So 27 Celsius, 28 Celsius certainly will feel very warm. And the June sunshine is very strong too. Now for tomorrow evening, then it's dry with clear skies once again. And by the time we reach Wednesday, there may just be a bit of cloud around in the morning. That will clear off, and then we are going to see much more in the way of sunshine again. Bright blue skies, just a bit of fair weather cloud. And temperatures on Wednesday afternoon will be similar, reaching around the mid to high 20s, up to 27, possibly 28 Celsius once again. And then for the rest of the UK, for the next few days, we're going to continue to see high pressure with us. It stays fine, dry, settled, maybe a tad breezier on Thursday and Friday, but certainly lots of sunshine in store. So then, high pressure is with us throughout the week into the weekend. We're going to see a lot of dry weather, a lot of sunshine around, just some cloud bubbling up into the afternoons. Temperatures will climb up by Thursday, by Friday, reaching the high 20s, maybe up to 28, 29 Celsius. But by the weekend, we could reach the 30 to 31 Celsius threshold. Now this, if we have 3 consecutive days above 28 Celsius, it does meet the heat wave criteria. So do keep up to date with the forecast, as there may even be a heat health alert that may be issued in the coming days as well. So plenty of warmth, but do remember very high pollen levels, high UV levels as well. So do take all the necessary precautions. Back to you, Riz.
Thanks, Corsa. Beautifully blending into the lavender fields there. And that's it. More on our top story, complaints about shared ownership to the housing watchdog, on our website. Also there, if you missed it, actor and Londoner Idris Elba unveiling a commemorative stone at his old college, which he says helped him dream bigger as a student. Thanks for watching and enjoy a sunny evening. Bye-bye.